Welcome to the show. From Peterson's, I'm your host, Taylor Sienkiewicz, and you're listening to You Have a Cool Job, a podcast highlighting those who took their profession in a unique direction and what they did to get there. On this week's episode of You Have a Cool Job, we talk with one of the brains behind a social media platform you may have heard of, LinkedIn. Brandon Wu is a software engineer for the advertisement side of LinkedIn, meaning he releases objective-based advertisement to new advertisers on the platform. But to start at the beginning, as software development can be a foreign language to some of us, I wanted to know what sparked Brandon's initial interest. Keep in mind that Brandon was on the go when we spoke, so you might hear some background noise.
What made you want to work in that space, I guess, in the first place as a software engineer and in the advertisement space?
So for software engineering, I happened to stumble into that field. It was more so I knew I wanted to do something science or engineering-wise, and then it just happened to be I got pushed into that in college, and then just ended up liking it, ended up having friends, and it just happened to be a good space, and it just happened to work out with a lot of situational things that happens to be the area that I'm from and everything as well, that I got to move back to. And for the advertising space, I would say the most interesting thing from there is just that it's optimizing for people experience to get people through a flow that will just make them spend money, which in some sense can be viewed in a way where it's like, yes, we are making people spend more money in a more optimized way. But with that, it's enjoyable to see that it's improved so much.
Brandon's job is not all coding, and he works with other businesses, creating sophisticated advertisement space for advertisers.
Originally, I had really no direction, I would say, in what I wanted to do with software engineering. The first team that I joined happened to be straight on called Team Money. Mm-hmm. So we work on the client side for the advertisers to be serving the ads. So I'm on the side of the advertiser creation where people are uploading their images or videos and creating the links that they want to have people go to their websites or click to buy these products or such.
Okay. And then as far as the software space, what are some common misconceptions that you hear about software in terms of just what you're doing daily and what you do?
So some common misconceptions, I would say, for programming, especially, there's multiple different variations of misconceptions. There's the misconceptions of people outside of the software engineering world who just see a website and say, oh, this is LinkedIn. How long can that take to build something? It's just a web page. All it is just scrolling text and images. So a lot of people will think that, why does LinkedIn hire thousands of engineers? Why do all these companies have thousands of engineers? It's because doing a lot of these problems and building all of these websites at scale and making sure that the response is in every different way, accessible to everyone, people who are blind, people who are deaf as well, colorblind, to make them just able to exist in many different circumstances where there's slow internet as well. That's the hardest problem, and making sure it works in every situation. The other misconception, I'd say that it's a similar misconception in that it just varies at a different skill level as well, because even people within technology still question why certain companies need so many engineers. People question a lot. I hear other engineers questioning why a company like Facebook or Google or LinkedIn all require thousands of engineers. It just happens to be there are so many things to work on, and there's always more features to push, more problems to solve, and it takes a lot more time to build it right as opposed to building it quickly. I'd say that is the hardest thing because it's a lot more of building things slowly and correctly than just rushing into it. People are expecting fast on it right away, but in order to build it correctly, it takes time.
Right. So Brandon, what is the culture like working at a big company like LinkedIn?
I would say the culture at a big company like LinkedIn is, I'm just going to straight up say it's fantastic. I would say I've preferred LinkedIn to all the other companies that I've worked at. They have very flexible work hours. I could be working remote one day if I wanted to. There was 1 week where I was working just remote the whole week in New York. You can come into the office when you want, work where you want, as long as you're responsive and available to help other people with their work as well during normal business hours. LinkedIn is pretty unique in the fact that they offer something called in days, which are 1 day a month where you spend the whole day trying to do something outside of your normal work life. So options they have, they're trying to pursue different things and have different themes. One of the most important ones, I believe, was the November in day, where it's a bring your parents to work day. And on that day, I was able to bring both my parents into work to show them what I do, to have them meet my manager, meet my teammates, to grab lunch with them and just show them around the office. They ended up getting professional LinkedIn headshots as well.
Nice.
So little things like that really make the company feel more personalized and just provide a very sense of belonging.
Brandon explained how his path to working for LinkedIn started with a college internship. He was put on a team that he was able to return to after he completed the internship and his college degree.
I want to say that a lot of it, honestly, just from my point of view, is luck. I know that there's a bias for especially a lot of computer science people of imposter syndrome, I believe it's called, where people don't think that they're good enough for all these things. And I think that it's a lot of people just in general. I think that in some sense I can see that for myself because I'm not sure still how I got to LinkedIn, but now once I'm actually here, I realize, yes, everyone is trying their best, and that was just one way of getting into LinkedIn.
Did you feel like you were prepared for your job based on your computer science classes or your college work?
With classes at college, and I don't think necessarily at any college really I don't think that any college classes can really prepare you exclusively for what you're doing in your day-to-day job. I will say that the college classes have been very important and have been quite of a help in learning to problem solve. The most important thing I'd say, just as someone who's an engineer, is that every day you're trying to learn. If you're not learning, then it means that you should probably be finding a new job. That's also the hardest part about working in this field, is that things are constantly changing. It's a still developing field. There's so many things that are just constantly new, and when one thing can be said this way right now, in 4 months from now, things can be changed slightly or can be drastically different, and it's just all about adapting to it. So it's just framing that mindset for the whole career is just a very important thing to know. With classes in college, taking 4 years of classes where it gives you a very good fundamentals in computer science, that helped a lot in being able to have just a lot of breadth when coming into the job that I have now. I may not be using all the classes that I have learned from over my college career in my day-to-day job, but it definitely give me a great foundation and basis to be able to learn constantly on the day job that I have now.
As Brandon graduated college in 2017 and entered the full-time workforce fairly recently, I wanted to ask him about his goals as he continues through his career.
I've been recently asked that question of where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Of course.
And a very classic question. And when my manager asked that, I actually just replied back with wanting to take his job. So at least for myself, I know that I'm a very career and goal-oriented person. I want to be able to go down the path of management. Engineering management is the entry point for projects. If they say no to a project, it just won't be done. If they say yes, then they get to control how it's done. They get to allocate some of their resources to this project. They get to see the project grow, and in turn, they also get to see their engineers grow as well, because they know what their engineers are capable of, and they get to, they see them get promoted and just learn more as well. So everyone's trying to get career growth.
Brandon shared the direction in which he sees his role going in the social media / advertising space.
So what I see the role for social media in the advertising space is that there's a lot of optimizations for just minimizing the amount of time it takes for someone to say yes to something. People don't like to be stopped and want to keep their momentum going once they start something. So it's very similar, it's very akin to just driving. When people slow down, people just unfortunately are impatient and want to keep going. It's very similar. We notice that mindset in the advertising space a lot. So if there are multiple pages for people to create an advertisement, that slows people down, more clicks. So ideally, we'd like people to just be able to have things preset for them or just filled out. In doing so, then they would be able to just be able to glance over and say, yes, this is good, and they'll be more willing to spend their money. So then both sides are winning in that sense. They'll be able to create an advertisement that targets the correct audience, that matches the criteria that they want, and LinkedIn side is able to just start generating revenue as soon as possible. I think a big field is just how people are targeted and just how the advertisements are viewed in an optimal way.
As for final thoughts, Brandon offered some advice for others who are also early on in their careers.
Some early career advice that I would have is realize that everyone else is just trying their best and that everyone else has been doing this for days, months, years already, and is just chugging along just like how you are. So with that, it's just treating everyone kind of like an equal, but still knowing where everyone is. It's not necessarily someone is your manager and you should be frightened or anything from them. It's more so they can be viewed just as another person, and they're just trying to do their job with the best intentions that they have. Likely 99.99% they're trying to help you as well as you're trying to help them. So just remember that, and then with that, everything will go smoother because realize no one necessarily knows what they're doing. Everyone's just trying to do the best that they can wherever they are currently.
As the influence of social media continues to grow, more space for new ideas on all fronts expands and develops as well. We hope you're inspired by Brandon's story to find where you grow too. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.